Hello, it's so nice to have you join me today. I'm Guillermo Vidal, your host for Aging Fearlessly, the place where we're working to create our best life. Now, because I've continued to provide a contrasting opinion to what was presented in the Golden Bachelor series that was aired by the network ABC, I keep getting a lot of questions about finding true love in our lives no matter our age. Today I'm going to deal with the following question. Is finding true love all that it's cracked up to be? But before I go on, let me ask you for a favor. If you find it helpful to get this kind of content on a regular basis, please subscribe to this channel and you'll get my best work on that regular basis. Okay, so let me bring you back to the subject at hand. Yes, I believe finding true love is everything it's cracked up to be. But finding true love is not the same as finding another romantic partner. Let me explain by quoting an old Spanish saying that supports my statement. The saying is, mejor estar solo que mal acompañado. Translated, it means better to be alone than to be poorly accompanied. In other words, finding true love is all that it is cracked up to be, but not with the wrong partner. Now, I'm sure if you asked anyone who has lived and suffered through a dysfunctional relationship, that they would tell you that it would have been much better to have been alone than to have continued to live through the hurtful negativity contained in that dysfunctional relationship with a partner who may have been narcissistic, abusive, selfish, etc. In other words, finding true love is not just about finding a romantic partner. It is about finding the right romantic partner that you can work with to create a healthy relationship. But this does take work, and it is work that it's not only about identifying the red flags in another person, it's also about identifying your own red flags. Now, if you've been dating for a while since the loss of your partner through death or divorce or breakup, then you're probably experiencing some level of failure with prospective partners with whom you initially thought that a loving relationship was still possible. Don't worry, this is actually very common. I can name at least a dozen times in my dating experience where my love boat ran smack into an iceberg when a budding romance fizzled out after a couple months in identical ways to previous ones I had experienced. And now, of course, I always blamed the women I dated to my friends and family members. Jokingly, I would claim that I seemed to be dating the same exact woman, but she was a shapeshifter like Mystique, the blue-skinned mutant from the X-Men who can transform into the shape and voice of any person with extreme precision. Now, this always got a good laugh, but it also let me slide from taking personal responsibility for what I brought to the table that helped the relationship fail. But as years of my dating world went by and my record of failures just kept growing, I knew something was amiss. I could also see that while the women changed in all of these attempts, I was the common denominator in all of these failures. There was not a shapeshifter involved at all. I kept attracting the same kind of woman because I had not made any changes within me. So how does one go about fixing this then? Here's my attempt to answer that question. I believe that relationship, like every other experience in life, is a lesson for us as individuals to learn from and evolve. And just like other lessons in our lives, if we don't learn them, we repeat them. Unquestionably, I was not learning my lesson from the relationship that failed, and because I was not making any changes in myself, I repeated the same dysfunctional cycle in the next relationship. In fact, what was surprising is that each failed relationship seemed to be even worse than the one before. And this is when I realized that I was not making any corrections. I was not learning any lessons. Frustrated and confused by my predictable failure, I went to counseling seeking help. I was an utter failure and I needed someone to guide me. After some months of self-reflection and analysis, I realized that I was at the root of the problem and had to work on myself. Now, I've spoken in previous programs about discovering the disdain and feelings of unworthiness I held towards myself. and how I brought those feelings to every relationship in my life. And that is what I brought to a relationship that helped cause it to fail. I wasn't solely responsible, but that was my contribution. And it took some work to get there. And I will cover that in another program. But for now, I will leave you with these thoughts. Finding true love is worth every effort, but to be successful, you must possess these three qualities. Number one, you must learn to love yourself. If you don't know how to do that, you will be unable to teach another person how to love you. You'll also not be able to recognize what they need to feel loved by you. Number two, you must learn to be happy on your own. Having a romantic partner might be your preference, but you don't need to have one to live a joyful and meaningful life. So learn to be on your own. Number three, learn to see how having a partner is a lifestyle choice and not a need. In order to do this, you must start by recognizing that you were born complete. You do not need another person out there to complete you. I will cover these 3 points in future programs, but the simple point is this. In order to create a loving and healthy romantic relationship, you have to get to a point where you're fine without it. These 3 points I mentioned are key to that. Now I know this sounds like an oxymoron, so I will explain further in upcoming shows. But believe me, I'm speaking the truth here. Hope to see you soon.